In this video, I'll be covering the debuffers for the next Cancer Cub. The main candidates that we have is Sakura Bakushin O, Smart Falcon, and Nice Nature. Now, before we go a little bit further on discussing each character, I want to discuss a little bit more about the tracks so that we can know how actually the blockers work. This is the race course for the next Cancer Cup. Now, the main reason we want to run a blocker debuffer is to deny angling and scheming. So angling and scheming is Seiyun Sky Unique, which proc around this area right here on the final corner. So what you want to do with your blocker debuffers is to maintain the lead on the early and middle part of the race, or overtake the front runners after the position keeps end. So you want your blocker to have the first place when we're reaching this section right here. So the first thing you need to know when building this blocker debuffer is that on every course before the first corner, there's a no overtake zone. This no overtake zone is about 200 meters before the first corner on every race course. So your Uma doesn't change lane, or it's very hard to overtake in the zone. The no overtake zone is right here. So most straight skills that activate around this part doesn't really contribute much to overtaking. So it's really better to take corner skills and middle leg skills over straight skills. And if you didn't know, Frontrunner has a unique overtake mechanics which is exclusive to them. If you didn't know what position keeps meaning is that pace chaser, late surger, and end closer will always try to match the pace of the front runners. So they will never try to go forward before this position keep area ends. Now for the front runner blockers, there's two main areas that you want to spend most of your skills on. So the first main area is the early part of the race, to gain as much as advantage and lead as possible with skills like groundwork, for example. And the second area, which is also important, so we should focus more on the corner skills and the middle leg skills that happen around this area. So skills like Professor of Curvature, Mile Corners, Ramp Up, Tailhead High, Playtime's Over is really good. So how do you gain as much as lead as possible in the early race? So having a really high power matters a lot for increasing the acceleration around this area. Same thing as why you want to stack groundwork is to increase the acceleration. So Sakura Bakushin O has her unique skill called Genius Bakushin Victory, which increases her velocity when engaging in challenge toward the front in the second half of the race. If we see the condition of this is that 50% throughout the race, and she's either in the first, second, or the third position, and she's also blocked on the side, which means she's competing with the other frontrunner Umas. She gained an increased speed to make sure that she can take over the Umas, or make sure that she can actually keep the lead. So this skill will proc somewhere around this area, which is about 800 meters. If we proc the unique right about this section, there's a high chance we can overtake the front runner alongside this point. So the first thing and the most important thing is that you must need groundwork. This is really essential so she can gain the lead at the start of the race. You need to focus all your skill point on early and middle leg skills. Straight skill, as I have mentioned before, is less useful than the corner skills, ensuring that she blocks the angling and scheming proc around here. As for how to build her stats, speed is kind of whatever. You just try to get as much as possible to ensure you clear your career. Stamina, just try to get 600 or more just to ensure she can run the whole race. Now for the power, try to get as high as you can. I recommend if you can hit 1200, then perfect, by all means go for it. Guts also can be whatever. And also you need a little bit higher on the width side as well to ensure that she can proc the overtake mechanics properly and proc all her skills. But the main priority for her stats, try to max the power first and then go forward. Now let's move on to the decks. How to actually build the Bakushin O and Smart Falcon. So I really recommend you borrowing a groundwork parents or bring your own inherit if you have a groundwork on it. Any green skill inherit is also good to make sure that she can activate groundwork at the start of the race. If you don't want to borrow a groundwork parent, then you can also just straight up run the air group support card, but you might be lacking a bit on the stats overall. The first card that you want to run on your deck is Taitaku Helios Power card. She has a Speed Eater, which is a speed debuff skill. She also has Slipstream and Mile Corners, which is a really good middle leg skills. We also have Silent Suzuka Speed card, which actually has a bunch of frontrunner skills, which is really good. So she has Focus, Left-handed, Leader's Pride, Fast Pace, Frontrunner Safety, Frontrunner Straightaways, and Frontrunner Corners. You can run either Silent Suzuka or you can run Kito-san Black. Kito-san Black has Focus and Professor of Curvature. You can also definitely run the R version of Silent Suzuka if you don't have the SSR version like me, because she still has all the hints. I really recommend you running Yaino Miteki because she has a lot of good middle leg skills such as Ramp Up, Tailhead High, and Playtimes is Over. Now for the wit card that I recommend, there is two of it. It's Marvelous Sunday and Fuji Kiseki SR card. For Marvelous Sunday, she has Hesitant Front Runners and Hesitant Pace Chaser, and she also has Ramp Up and Tailhead High. Marvelous Sunday can be replaced with any power or wit card or any hints that you find more suitable in your opinion, because this skill is already covered mostly by Yaino Muteki. Marvelous Sunday is like a very flex card in my opinion. The next wit card that you should put on your deck is Fujikiseki SR card, because she has a pretty good skill such as Unyielding Spirit, Mile Corners, and Summer Runner to help activate groundwork at the start. Mihono Bourbon Power card is also a really good option because she has a guaranteed front runner straightaways, and she only has like 4 hints, so it's really easy to get front runner corners and front runner straightaways. So the main priority when you're building this deck and doing your career runs is that please ensure that you have 3 skills that proc at the start to activate your groundwork. This can be any green skills plus focus. As I have mentioned before, using the R version of any of the cards is totally fine for the hints. There's also the niche option where you run Tazuna for her concentration, and also Air Group if you don't want to borrow your parents or have your own inherit. Moving on to the next blocker, we have Smart Falcon. Now, I really prefer running Smart Falcon if you have her over Sakura Bakushin O because she is just far better. If we take a look at her unique skill, Sparkly Stardom, she becomes empowered again ceding the spotlight when about to lose the lead on a straight mid-race. So what this means is that on the middle part of the race, if it's on a straight and she's on the first place, and there's another girl behind her, increase speed and acceleration. Although this acceleration doesn't really contribute much, but this target speed is really nice to have to ensure that she has the lead on the middle race. As for when her skill procs around this straight right here. But as you guys might know, there is a no overtake zone here. The really only effective area of this unique is right about this area right here. But any lead that you have and activate around this area is really crucial still. Smart Falcon is really unique because you can also run her as your ace and a blocker instead of only running her as a blocker like Bakushin O. So the same thing as Bakushin O, you definitely need groundwork and focus all your skill points on middle leg skills and early leg skills. Smart Falcon is that it's really hard to get groundwork because she has pretty much bad affinities overall with all the Umas except Mihono Bourbon. And it's really hard to build her because if you notice, she has an E on her turf, meaning that you need 10 star on her turf spark on the parent and grandparents, which is actually really hard to build. However, she also has a really good stat bonus, which is 20% on speed and 10% on power. She also has a really good innate skills to help you proc groundwork, such as the wet condition and frontier savvy. So you only need to get one more skills on top of it, such as focus, left-handed, or whatever you can. Now, there's 2 stats when it comes to building Smart Falcon. Either the same as Bakushin O, where you want to max the power and the width, or you can just straight up run her as an ace. When you run her as an ace, the recommended stats that you want is try to get as much speed, as much power as possible, and try to hit 601 on stamina and 301 on gut. Now, why do we need 601 and 301 on stamina and gut? Is that because every 300 points on stamina and gut, it contributes to bonus speed on your Uma on this race course. And for your width, try to get it around 600 if possible. If you're building her as a blocker, then definitely refer back to this deck. If you want to run her as an ace and a blocker as well, then by all means, you definitely need to borrow a groundwork parents and try to find a good turf parents for it. The recommended deck that I will suggest is Daitaku Helios, Yaino Muteki, Kitasan Black for her speed, Fujikiseki, San Suzuka, and another speed card, so you can hit the speed and the power threshold. You can also run Mihono Bourbon instead of Daitaku Helios if you prefer her hints over Daitaku Helios. Alright, now that's all for the speed and the blocker debuffer. Let's take a look at the stamina debuffer. So the only option that I really recommend if you still want to run the stamina debuffer is of course Nice Nature. However, stamina debuff is less relevant than Gemini Cup, but you can still run it for the edge case where people don't build enough stamina. And it's also definitely harder to build on the CM than the last CM because on Gemini Cup, most people only run Pace Chaser and the End Closer. But for the CM, you might see all 4 styles on the race course. In the Cancer Cup, if you still want to build Nice Nature, then definitely focus on the front runners, late surger, and end closers. Now, I want to touch on the edge case where Nice Nature is actually really good. And this is the recommended stats which is currently up in most of the guides out there. 601 stamina and 301 guts. I put it on Mal S and the style as the front runner. If we take a look here on Tokyo Turf at 1600 meter, you can see the stamina is actually pretty much almost borderline. So if an all-seeing eye procs right here, then pretty much the Uma doesn't have enough stamina to run the whole race. So yeah, if all the people out there following the general guide for the Cancer Cup and they only run about 600 stamina, then you can also double down on running stamina debuffer and just stam check them like this CM. If you still really want to build Nice Nature though, I recommend just trying to get as much subdued and flustered as you can and late surger savvy skill, all-seeing eye, and as high width as you can. That's about it for all the debuffers that you need to know for the Cancer Cup. As always, thanks so much guys for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.